Hi, I'm Sylvia Wright-Davies, and in this video I'm going to be sharing strategies to help you to meet your deadlines. Missed deadlines can cause havoc within organizations, both large and small. And the consequences of not meeting a deadline impact not only the person or the department responsible, it's got this flow-on effect within the business. So, as examples, maybe when someone misses a deadline, other staff, or in some cases whole teams, cannot complete their work because of information or documentation that's missing. Or maybe products or services may not be delivered to clients on time. Costs increase. And then, in an attempt to get the task completed, quality often suffers. And then there's also stress and conflict. Needless to say, all of this wreaks havoc with productivity and profitability. So, why is it that deadlines are missed in the first place? Well, there's a number of reasons, so see if you identify with any of these. It could be something outside of your control, such as machinery breakdown or computer problems, and we've all experienced those, haven't we? Lack of systems, or possibly the systems that are in place are inadequate. Too much to do. And as I travel around Australia and I give seminars to the corporate market, time and time again, people in the audience say that they've got too much to do. Task reluctance, meaning that the task is unpleasant. And then what happens? Well, procrastination kicks in and we put the task off, don't we? Poor organizational skills, that's another biggie. I'm sure that if researched the reasons, we could come up with many others as to why deadlines are missed. Now, in order to avoid missing deadlines, it's absolutely vital that you identify the core reason for why it is that deadlines are missed in the first place. And when you do that, the greater the chances of you taking effective remedial action. By practicing good organizational skills, you will go a long way towards meeting your deadlines. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to share with you 3 tips. They're simple. They're also common sense, but not necessarily common practice. And most importantly, they can be very effective. Tip number 1, allocate a start date to every task. Now, it's really simple. First, you decide on when you should and when you can start working on a project. Then, you include that particular project in your to-do list for that particular day and also transfer it into your organizer, into your calendar, whatever system it is that you use. If it's a task that you dislike, then if possible, schedule it at the very start of your day. Get it over and done with, and you'll feel really good about that. The next step is to determine the finish date. When is the deadline? Now, if a client or a colleague has given you a task to do and has not provided you with a deadline, ask for one. You know, in the past, I used to be guilty of saying to others, now when you get around to it, could you do this for me, please? There's no hurry. Now, if someone says that to you, ask for a completion date. And if they still don't give you one, then create one yourself. Now keep in mind that if your task is in reality a project, in other words, there's a series of tasks that need to be performed in a certain sequence in order to achieve the desired end result, then using a Gantt chart can help you to create a realistic timeline. Now, more about Gantt charts in another video. That's a whole subject in itself for a video. Maybe the deadline is one that you create yourself. Or maybe it's determined by outside factors. For example, a report for a board meeting. That would be a fairly realistic deadline, wouldn't it? Now, here's a really good strategy. Tip number 3, create an artificial deadline. I'm going to use the example of that report for a board meeting. Let's say the meeting is scheduled to take place on Friday the 31st. So your real deadline for this report is Thursday the 31st. Create an artificial deadline. Say Tuesday the 29th. This is going to give you a buffer zone of 3 days. Now, this buffer zone is your safety net. What I mean by that is that if emergencies eventuate, and we all know that they do, don't they? So maybe if you're sick and you're away from work, maybe there's a computer malfunction, maybe if someone else within your team isn't there to give you the support that you need, if information is required and it isn't forthcoming within the allotted time, well, you've still got some time up your sleeve to complete the task before the real deadline. Now, to come up with the artificial deadline, ask yourself, how soon can you get the task finished and out of the way? So there we are. To recap, 3 great strategies to help you with organizational skills. Every task should have a start date. Every task should have an end date. And where possible, also create an artificial deadline. Now, if deadlines were constantly met, wouldn't it be a perfect world? Well, maybe that's a bit idealistic. However, by putting these strategies into practice, you will gain more control over when your tasks are completed. I hope you join us again for another video on how to supercharge your business growth. Until then, ciao.